So remember the TIE Silencer Snap Tight kit has that image on the front with the Death Star in the background?
The one I tweeted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was looking at Making Star Wars, and they had posted about it as well, because everyone's kind of like, what the hell? This has to be messed up, right?
Yeah.
And someone else had provided an image of Pottery Barn Kids has the Last Jedi bedding with a Death Star on it. So there's now two things Last Jedi related that have a Death Star on them. And it causes so much hurt and doubt in my soul, and because every time, it's like that can't be real, right? Like they wouldn't, right? Like that's just how everything I read that's talking about the Death Star is like, there's no way, right? Like always at the end, it's like, wait, right? Please tell me, yes.
There's no way. He said specifically, there aren't any spoilers in any of the things.
He didn't get to say what packaging
or
was.
any of the wasn't he asked directly about merchandise, and he said, no, we were very careful not to spoil anything, like the things that
like
are
he
out.
gets to choose that though.
Maybe it's just a piece of fan art that these weird brands decided to
Well, this
use.
is like embroidered bed sheets. Like it's a comforter.
Really?
Like it's not like a printed thing. No, like it's.
What's going on?
Look up the Last Jedi Pottery Barn bedding.
There's no way that it's.
I mean, it's like Pottery Barn Kids, so obviously their design team could have just been like, it's an icon, put it on there.
That's why is it not showing up in other places? Why is it these weird?
Yeah.
It's not even on all of the.
It's just like a secret third one that we didn't know about.
It's not even on all of the other like snap tight models.
That one, I think, is that
there. Why? No, what? And look, it's the same. It's got that same vertical marking that the other one had. Let me just pull up the picture.
I was looking at other pictures, and it's on the Death Star, just depending on which way it's spun.
It's not the second Death Star, obviously.
Obviously.
But it's
complete.
Well, maybe not.
Star Wars has a good picture of the Death Star as a whole.
And didn't he say he grabbed that from something else? Like he grabbed that from, like, it was a fan picture or a model that already existed for one of the other movies
in the past that have had like fan art show up on like the box art, which gets real confusing.
I don't know. That's really throwing me off. I don't understand.
It's that whole like, that's bullshit. Right. Like there's always that. Well, can we say it's bullshit, or
it's two places now? Can we really say? I mean, I was willing to say that, especially when Jason posted the full picture, which he obviously got somewhere. It's some fan art or a model or something like that existed when the original movies were out. So this can't be real. I mean, do you remember the one he posted? It had the same, which I've never seen under there before, but the same, weird marking.
There's no way. There's no way.
Let me see. Is it? No, it's not in Rogue One either. Those markings. Wait, hold on. Let me see.
But like Ryan also doesn't seem like someone that would do that either.
No, yeah, it's just
like it's
these markings.
Cheap.
What, to just throw a Death Star into the movie like that?
Easy.
Yeah, seems like it.
And especially after having Starkiller Base, just having another thing, another Deus Ex Machina.
Okay, yeah. Look, this is it right here. It's from the one he's got on here is Wikipedia. See, this is the picture he posted, the one from Wikipedia.
Yeah,
I'd have to see where they get it on there, but that's what's in the background right there. Do you think they went to Wikipedia and grabbed this for?
It was like proposed X-Wing background 2 years ago. They used a fan-made Star Destroyer model, and then someone noticed the Death Star in the bedding.
Okay, all right. There's two sources listed on this picture here. One is the new essential the new essential guide to weapons and technology.
Okay.
Which came out before all the Legends stuff went down in 2014.
So it's an older picture.
So yeah, it's an older picture. And there's a Fatheads decal that has the same picture. so high resolution.
So
So
where's but where are Pottery Barn bedding designers pulling images from? What's their reference material? Who are they talking to?
well, who let them
I
put
mean,
a Death Star on?
This is all for the episode, but yeah. Ugh. It's so frustrating because it doesn't make any sense and it can't be real, but it very well could be, and it's super frustrating.
Yeah.
And then just to fade to the music.
Weapons are no match for a good blaster, you said.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
And welcome to the show, episode 54.
Hooray! So much to talk about today.
Yes, this episode of Hokey Religion, we're going to talk about the other characters from the EW article, but so much has happened since then.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
First of all, we're about to die. We're all about to die down here.
Yes, after Hurricane Harvey was, of course, we're going to date the episode, but Hurricane Harvey was, of course, horrible in Houston, Texas, and now we are located in Central Florida, and we have Hurricane Irma bearing down on us, and we're all going to float away.
This is coming out right when it's going to be the worst for us.
This episode will release at midnight, 12 a.m. Monday morning, which is when the category for hurricane is supposed to be directly beside the city we live in.
Yeah, so
I'll be
as you're
floating on my bed,
this,
going down the street as you're hearing this.
Just picture us. Yeah, we're like we're in little pool floaties, paddling down I-4,
using our kids as paddles, head first in the water.
Our kids are like, you know, those radar things you drop into the ocean to look for fish and obstacles and stuff. We just have them taped to a stick, so we just stick them down under and pull them out. You see anything?
We have our children lashed together to make a raft. Is that it?
We put them down in there. You see anything?
No.
All right. So yeah, just picture us doing that as we've got all our equipment on the
This
floaty.
could be our last episode if we're still here.
For real this time. I know I've been saying it a lot lately, but for real, we're probably dead. We might be dead.
It should not be that bad here. Let's hope. But
we'll see.
Typically, all Star Wars news is released the day after we record an episode. This week, not so much, because another one bites the dust. Yeah, that's
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what else to say. Yeah, so for those that don't follow anything on the internet, that Colin Trevorrow, or however you pronounce his name, Trevorrow, right?
Yeah, Colin Trevorrow,
has been let go. Well, whatever Disney does to people that they don't want to make their films anymore.
See, I kind of wanted to wait a few days because remember back when Phil and Chris were fired, it was only a few days until we started getting stories about what was really happening. Yeah. And it was like every day it was a worse. Was it every day or was it?
We're starting to have some of that already. So I mean, if you haven't heard, the official line from the Star Wars website was Lucasfilm and Colin Trevorrow have mutually chosen to part ways on Star Wars Episode 9.
Which was almost exactly what they said about Phil and Chris.
Mutual. Colin has been a wonderful collaborator throughout the development process, but we have all come to the conclusion that our visions for the project differ. Again, very close to Han Solo.
Right.
We wish Colin the best, and we'll be sharing more information about the film soon. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened with Chris and Phil. Right?
Except it was coming from Kathleen directly.
This was like Lucasfilm and Colin Trevorrow. This was more like
and Colin didn't release his own statement, right?
Colin hasn't said anything yet.
Okay.
Just like with Chris and Phil, that stuff that kept coming out over the course of a week, there's been a lot less, but it all seems to be very much related to script.
Yeah.
So sources are telling The Hollywood Reporter that script issues have continued to be a sore spot throughout Episode 9's development, with Trevorrow having repeated stabs at multiple drafts. Of course, in August, they brought on a new writer, Jack Thorne, the British writer.
Yeah.
And was working on the script, and apparently that the working relationship between Trevorrow and Kathleen became unmanageable, much like Phil and Chris.
Wow.
Kennedy, who had already been through one director firing replacement on the Han Solo spin-off movie, was not eager for a sequel and tried to avoid this decision. So it sounds very similar.
was not eager for
to have to like go
repeating
another
what
director
she had
just
to
because
do.
it makes it look so bad. It makes her look bad. It makes the studio look bad.
I guess
It's not. It comes across as a power trip, but obviously Marvel did this with Kevin Feige has jumped in on multiple Marvel films and like taken over and been like
who was it? Edgar Wright was supposed to do Ant-Man.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
I think I may have talked about that before.
And they wanted to go a different direction than he did.
He wanted to do some kind of he wanted more freedom, and I think I said this before. They wanted to follow the formula a little bit more, the Marvel.
And
formula.
I think Kathleen's more of a producer than a director, like unlike Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's jumped in and been like a hard ass on getting the films to be exactly what their vision is for the films, and no one's really batted an eye.
Yeah,
as far as I remember.
They I don't know.
And they've come out to huge success. Like all Marvel movies have, destroyed at the box office, and no one's had a never been like a huge fallout.
Like I was saying, it was because of the formula. They have this Marvel has this predictable format for their movies, right? Of things that just stuff that you can expect from a Marvel movie. And I feel like it's less so for Star Wars. Like there isn't really you do have to have the Star Wars feel, and obviously the story has to meet a certain level, expectations.
But you, as a director, have to play well with someone else's sandbox, and it sounded like Chris and Phil couldn't do that.
If you think about what Ryan had and some of the interviews that he's done about his experience working on The Last Jedi, he has always said he's had a lot of creative freedom. Like what he got from JJ.
Because he's good at being creative.
Okay, but you have to. I mean, it was the same deal for Colin, because Ryan's even said
Colin's not good at being creative.
Forget about what his qualifications are. Just think about what he was given. Like he wasn't given all of these crazy restrictions. He was just like Ryan gave him the same thing that JJ gave him, which is like a basic outline of here's where the characters are. Here's kind of some stuff that is going to have to be addressed just because of the characters.
But from everything that's come out is that they've had constant script trouble with episode 9, and they finally had something workable, and then Carrie Fisher died.
Okay, well,
and then they had to just go back and rewrite, and apparently they just couldn't lock anything down, and they're like, all right, we're done.
Okay, well, now you can talk about whether Colin Trevorrow is any good or not. Because at that point, it's not based on what he was given, it's just whether he can actually get something to work.
So they had something manageable, supposedly. They had come to something, and this was even said, in stuff when Carrie Fisher died, they said they had a workable script at that point, and then Carrie died, and they had to go back and rework it. But things are kind of coming out from various sources that it was a very workable script. Like he finally got something they could mold into a Star Wars movie, is what it kind of sounds like. And then Carrie Fisher died, and they had to rebuild something, and it's just they've not been able to rebuild. They brought in this other writer.
They broke Colin down enough, or to get.
I don't know.
When you're saying something that can mold into a script.
He finally, I guess he or his team finally had a manageable script that, or at least an outline of something to work with. And then I don't know why Carrie's death would have broken that so much, to be honest.
Oh, but they had to she probably played a big role in the movie.
And then they had to bring in another writer, and
I mean, it sucks. It for many reasons.
I've seen some people wondering.
I can understand why
was trying to be too dark. Like, was he wanting it to be dark, and they didn't want it to be as dark as he was trying to make it?
Who said that?
I've seen multiple people just throw that around. Like, do you think that? I don't Phil and Chris were being too silly. They needed to be a little more serious with the Han Solo movies, from what all of the things that were said about that.
That's going back to the formula thing. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they would have given him it needs to have this feel and it needs to have these beats.
They had that issue with Chris and Phil where it was like, this is too silly. Supposedly, allegedly, their Han Solo was too silly.
Even with that, it was like, there was the Lawrence Kasdan, headbutting stuff that was going on there, but. With that, it was stuff that, like, they had a script that was a good Star Wars feel and fit and, everything that worked.
And they tried to do their thing too much to the movie.
But it was like going off of what everyone else had, like going away from what everyone else had already agreed on.
Yes.
You know?
So,
So it
with
wasn't
Carrie
like they-
dying, do you think Colin was going away from what the original, like, this is where we want to go with it, to, was he trying to take it too dark? Was he trying to go a different direction with it,
I have no
with
idea.
Carrie dying?
It's hard to tell from what he's done in the past what this would even be like.
At least it wasn't mid filming, and it's still in the part
Right.
where they're still rewriting the script anyways.
Right.
So it's not, it's early enough that it won't really affect it.
They're scheduled to start production, what, next year?
Yes.
So
So
they've got some time.
of course, names are already being thrown around, and it was like instantly JJ or Ryan. Either,
I would much rather, obviously, you would, I'm sure you
I would
agree.
agree,
I would much rather Ryan come back than JJ.
I have not seen The Last Jedi yet, as no one has that's probably listening. And I would go ahead and put money on the fact that The Last Jedi will be better than The Force Awakens just because of Ryan Johnson.
Yes, I agree with that.
If you
Yeah.
know any of Ryan Johnson's work, it's very good.
Yeah.
He's very good at writing, and he's very good at building stories and characters and worlds.
He's very good at making dense movies.
Yes,
You
and
know?
he's very good at working with other people's IP. Like
Is he?
Terry Gilliam of Breaking Bad, like, let Ryan Johnson do like the third episode before
Who?
third
Vince
before
Gillian? Is that
Vince
who-
Gillian. It's not Terry
Gilliam?
I'm thinking Terry Gilliam. That's another guy. Vince.
Terry Gilliam's Breaking Bad. I would want to see that.
That would be very strange. Vince, yes. The Ryan did like one of the best episodes of Breaking Bad, and it was like the third to last episode. Like, you're wrapping up a show that's been running for 6 seasons, and you let somebody else
Really?
come in to do an episode. It was Ozymandias. Was the episode Ryan did? One of the episodes Ryan did,
I don't remember which
and it was,
one that
I think it was the third to last episode. And like, as a creator of a show that's coming to an end, and you're letting somebody else come in
Right.
and do one of the very last episodes, that's
Did he
a
write
pretty
that
big
or
deal.
did he direct it?
He directed it, but
Oh.
even still, handing that over at the end of something so big is a pretty big deal. Ryan
Yeah,
is very
for sure.
good at what he does.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's gonna get if there's anything I'm worried about, quote unquote, which there really isn't with this, it would just be the feel of Star Wars. You know, that
With
maybe this
Ryan?
would be maybe this would be not like it wouldn't. You know how we both said The Force Awakens gave us that very familiar like
Homey feel.
like you're a kid again instantly just watching the movie.
Yes.
You know, like it was a perfect feel.
Which was good to start back into it.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think I need that I don't think I necessarily need that feel.
I think
now.
there has to be some familiarity. Like it can't just be something completely.
Yes, but I
Off
think
the
I would
wall.
also be very okay if it suddenly got very adult. Not like
Oh sure,
not
yeah,
in a
I'm
weird
not.
way, but very much more serious than we've seen Star Wars be. It's not one of those porn parody films. That's not what I meant. I'm all for adult Star Wars films. The Last Jedi is not the one to be in
Probably
that way.
not the right time for that.
Yeah. So I'm okay with Star Wars getting. I think it was good to have the Force Awakens be that entry and like welcome back home type feel. But I think I'm very okay with The Last Jedi getting, and it looks like it's going that direction of being much more dark and much more serious, and having grown up with its audience.
Yeah.
So I think, if you think about,
do you think with Force Awakens, just to interrupt real quick,
yeah, as always,
do you think with Force Awakens, was JJ going for that feel on purpose? Like, was he making conscious decisions to get that feel, or was it just because I know everything practical, like that was a big push.
yes. Well, I think again that was kind of necessary to bring us back in, more people back in that were like, so upset by the prequels, and it just being that more realistic Star Wars and being like, hey, we know what we're doing now. Look at this, we did it right. Like I think there was a very conscious effort to make it.
Okay.
This is what it's good again type of thing.
Yeah.
Making sure to be very practical with your effects and making sure to have that, because even JJ talked about, having a lovable droid and like hitting those
Right.
beats that you need to be a Star
Yeah,
Wars
that
film.
was the other thing I was gonna say. Yeah.
I think he was very aware of that, and I think that's
Okay.
why they brought JJ in, is because he typically does all these other big IPs. He did Star Trek, and
Yeah.
Star Trek still has that kind of silly fun vibe to it. It's gotten very far off track with that vibe, but I mean that's kind of where it started, with being like, hey, this is for the people that grew up with this, but hey, it's still fun and not super serious.
Oh, why? I mean, Star Trek's a different thing. I would say.
Yes, but he's good with playing with
I
other
would say they've
people's-
gotten completely away from the original series. The feel of that, like it's not that, and
Well,
it never
yes.
was that for
Well,
the.
yes, but in that
the reboot.
in that rebooting type way of like, hey, here's a thing. It's very familiar, but it's also new.
He injected it with new energy. I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
I
So
think that's
I
a
think
different
JJ was a
situation.
very good choice for that, just because he's used to working with these giant IPs. He's used to
big budget movies. He's used
big
to
budget
that.
movies. He's used to
Yeah.
working with these giant IPs that you kind of have to work with the team.
Meet expectations.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, he was obviously a good choice for that. And then
yeah.
I think his movies, as much as people may hate JJ Abrams, I enjoy JJ Abrams stuff.
Yeah. I agree for the most part. Yeah.
Like what am I thinking? What movie am I thinking of? The monster movie that he did.
The
That
monster
he
Cloverfield.
created.
Not
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield. Yeah,
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield. Okay.
Yeah, so just
Yeah.
like his, and he also didn't he also do shit, the other one, the other monster movie with
I don't know what you're talking
with
about.
the
The sequel,
no, I'm never gonna remember the name of the movie.
the other monster movie.
It was like the
Super
grown up
8?
version of Super 8.
Okay,
That was
yeah.
him as well, right?
yeah.
He has that. He has
Yeah.
that. He's very good with that nostalgic, of that. But doing something for adults that want that to make them feel like kids again.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
me.
I think yeah.
Like Super 8 is like that is my adulthood's version of ET. Like when I was a kid,
Yeah,
there was ET
right.
and I loved ET. And Super 8 is like when I watched that, I'm like, oh my god, this is ET, but for me as an older person.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
Even though it's still kids and all that, but it's just like that ET on steroids.
Right.
I think he's very good at that feel of like, this is serious but fun, but making you feel that feeling of the movie.
Yeah. I agree with
So I
that.
think JJ was a very good pick for that to start out with.
Yeah.
And
There-
then I think Ryan's a very good pick for it to go into, okay, now we're serious. You're in, we're here, here's the story, shit's going
Okay.
down, let's get serious with it.
Right.
And I see that's where it's going, is what it feels like.
Okay.
And then Colin was just like, you did a big budget film and it did okay, so we'll bring you on.
See, that's what. Well, real quick
It was
before
the same
we
thing with Trank as well.
before we move on, that's why I brought that up, was because I think JJ, he was making those decisions, those conscious decisions up front, and he was very upfront about it. And I guess some of it came after the movie came out, like, where he was talking about how, yeah, we purposely followed A New Hope and all that junk.
Yeah.
Like that, he mentioned that after the movie came out, not before. But
Yeah.
with this, like you're saying, Ryan is kind of making decisions organically to serve the story and to serve the characters. So any kind of feeling that the movie's going to have is just a result of that.
Yeah.
And not necessarily something he's going into it like, we have to have this feeling, So I think it's going to end up, what kind of, I don't know. It's hard to say that's concerning, because that seems like the right choice. Like it's just going to be a really good, like you were saying earlier, he's excellent at story.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a really good story driven.
He's very good at characterization and
Right.
story and just building those together.
Right. So if I had to pick something that I was worried about, quote unquote, about this movie, it would be the familiar feel of Star Wars. But I think,
I don't think that's going to be a problem though, because Ryan also loves Star Wars.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it could be something completely brand new. It could be, could have all of that familiar feeling anyway.
So Ryan
knows?
does not have any films planned to be made after The Last Jedi. As far as I can find on the internet, I can find nothing that he is slated to be making after this. So do
The
it.
same way that Disney didn't fire Colin because the internet was all up in arms, I don't think they're going to hire Ryan because the internet's going to be.
No, I think they'd hire Ryan because he's done so well. They have had zero problems with him in The Last Jedi, and the fact that he possibly has an open schedule to continue working on it, since he already knows what the story is and where they want it to go, and he's helped with 9 already, at least at some
If they
story
hire
beats.
him, yeah, that's probably going to be the reason. Not because people on
No,
Twitter
no.
are like,
No, I mean,
you
I
should
think-
hire
I
Rian
think-
Johnson.
One, yes, we all probably, no one's seen The Last Jedi. It could suck and we could all hate Ryan Johnson forever after this. But from what it's, from just a film studio standpoint, like Ryan Johnson, it seems to have gone so smoothly with him.
Seems like it. There hasn't been any
He
drama that we
seems-
know
he-
about.
He's had fun. He's like tweeted about saying, I would do another Star Wars movie in a heartbeat.
Uh-huh.
Like that's something he said. So
Yeah.
yes, please. And like everything with like Kathleen is like, seems to be all about The Last Jedi and Ryan Johnson and what they're doing.
Mhm.
He already knows the story. He's building it to where it's going anyways.
Yeah.
It seems to make sense if he has nothing else slated and he's willing to do it if he doesn't need a vacation, because it's been
Do you
such a
think-
long process. It would be good to have the new trilogy rounded out by the same guy.
Yes, and I want that to happen, but do you think Kathleen would not do that just because she's had this track record with Star Wars movies of hiring new people and new feelings, new fresh blood each time, you know?
Yes, but that's only been a problem so far.
Maybe. I wouldn't say that's the majority of the case.
So you
Yeah.
get Chris and Phil, and you're like, oh yeah, you're new and hip and do things that aren't Star Wars. Oh shit, you're new and hip and do things that aren't Star Wars. Okay, bye. And then you've got Trevorrow, who's like, you did a really good,
Indie movie.
you did a really good indie movie, and then you had a huge box office hit that was
Yeah.
Lost World, Jurassic World, not Lost World.
Close
That's
enough.
not the same thing. And okay, so you can do indie and huge blockbusters. Let's bring you on. Oh, you can't write stories because Book of Henry and any of the story of Jurassic World, because I did not think that was a good movie, but it did very well in the box office.
That was not a good movie.
And he did, what was it? Safety Not Guaranteed,
Yeah.
right?
Which was great.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
Yeah. So
He did not write Jurassic World either, right? Didn't we? Did we look that up last time we talked about this?
I think yeah, we discussed this where much like the prequels, you can only direct shit so well. Where okay, you're handed this giant dump of a story. Let's try and direct this as best we can.
Right.
And then you're also handed a dumpy actor, and that's a whole nother story.
A dumpy actor.
Yeah, big old.
He wasn't a dumpy
big
actor.
old dump. What?
What?
Christensen?
What are you talking? You're talking
Hayden.
about Jurassic World.
I pivoted
To what?
to the prequels.
What does that have to do with we're talking about
Because
Colin?
we were talking about this previously about with Colin specifically of how Jurassic World's story wasn't good, but the movie was okay, and it seemed he directed it as best he could with the story he was given.
yeah.
Kind of like the prequels were directed as best they could with the story and or actors they were given.
But
At one point
George
we had talked
directed
about that.
and wrote them. It's not the same thing.
That is,
He's a crappy
obviously.
director and a so-so writer.
I've seen people asking to bring George back for 9, which
No,
one,
that's not a good idea.
he got his paycheck, he's done.
He would not do that.
2, no,
Yeah, no, please.
we don't
No, please.
need that anymore.
George was always a better writer than he was a director.
Yeah,
He's better when he's alone, away from everyone.
he's better in his box. So yeah, I mean, and even I think Trank was the same way. Josh Trank, who was going to do I think a Boba Fett film right at one point.
It was that was a
it
rumor.
rumored, but that was
I don't
another
know
guy
what
who
else it
had
would've been.
had a hit indie film,
Yeah.
and they brought him in, and then it just didn't seem to have worked out, and then he went to another project, I think.
That I can't tell, or maybe I just can't remember because it was already talked about.
And, I mean, that was early in the process too, so it may have just been too soon to be trying to do something else yet.
Maybe. I mean, he was. I thought he left because he got upset about something. Like it wasn't the
Yes,
same
like-
situation where he tried to make it work, but then it just ended up not. And
He did what Chris and Phil should have done before they started filming a movie.
maybe
Yeah, that's
maybe
what
he
it seems
just
like to
he
me.
was more of a hothead than those guys were.
Like-
I don't know.
Like they seemed to think like they could get in and do their thing after they were in, and then he was like, "You're not letting me do my thing, so I'm leaving." I mean, who's to say? Allegedly. Asterisk. Hashtag.
Man, the
blessed.
same guy who wrote the screenplay for all of the new Planet of the Apes movies
Mhm.
wrote Jurassic World.
That doesn't make sense.
That's
'Cause
crazy.
those are good.
So it's and then Amanda Silver, who's this husband and wife team. Okay. husband and wife team, Amanda Silver and Rick Jaffa, wrote the screenplays for all the new Planet of the Apes movies, and they both
Those are
did
good.
Jurassic World. Colin Trevorrow's credited as a screenplay writer, and then Derek Connolly, who did Safety Not Guaranteed, and he did Kong Skull Island.
Also good movies.
Oh shit! And
Makes
Monster
sense.
Trucks.
All
He's credited as the writer for Monster Trucks.
right, guys, pause the episode. Go look up the trailer for a movie called Monster Trucks. It's not what you think it is. It's even better.
Oh shit!
I've been trying to get Michael to watch this movie for a while now, just because it looks so ridiculous.
Oh my god! He's what? He's
So now we have to watch it.
he has an episode 9 credit. This guy, Derek Connolly.
Or did. Well, at this point, it may be had a credit at one point or another. If they're
Holy crap,
completely
it's
reworking the
him.
Script.
Jack Thorne and Colin Trevorrow.
Was
Episode 9. Well, was now, I guess.
Now it's Jack Thorne and to be determined.
Well, is this Monster Trucks writer still on?
We have to watch it now. We have to watch it.
I guess
We have to watch Monster
yeah.
Trucks, and we have to watch Book of Henry, and then we'll know the situation
I guess.
as to what had happened to episode 9.
That's not good. That's really bad.
That's not good. And maybe that's the problem, Michael.
Is that just Colin's writing partner?
It could be.
This guy?
It's just Colin's other name. I don't know.
He's only done Safety Not Guaranteed, Jurassic World, Monster Trucks, and Kong Skull Island. Those are the only movies that this guy has written.
So good indie film with story. Bad story for a blockbuster. Bad indie film? What is Monster Trucks? Bad shitty film
What
story.
is it?
And then
Bad film, period.
And then Kong
good
Skull
film.
Island, which is fantastic.
I guess that's really uneven.
That's very like
He's credited
started
on
great and he ended great, and in between is just like it's like an Oreo with a
good
dump in the
try.
middle.
with a dump in the middle.
Yep. A lot of dumps on this episode.
He's got
Dumpy
a
Oreo.
Lego Dimensions video game credit too. Oh, characters
Oh,
in Jurassic World.
that makes sense.
So he's uncredited as a writer.
So yeah.
Oh no, that's not good.
So
See, I've
episode-
always said of any of these movies I've ever been worried about, it's episode 9.
No, yeah,
And that
'cause
was
I-
the case from the
I
very
never
beginning.
understood why Trevorrow was brought on, because I didn't care for Jurassic World. So I was very iffy.
It was always
on him
the
being brought
kind of
in for
weird,
that,
yeah, kind of the weird choice.
because JJ and Ryan have that same vibe to me as directors, and Trevorrow doesn't.
Do they?
Fun, happy,
Good.
yeah, yes. All of these things that we want in directors. Colin always seemed like that brooding,
Brooding.
dumpy pancake of a
We
director.
can't. See, that's the thing. I can't.
No, just from him talking about stuff, it's always just like, yeah, I'm making a Star Wars film. I'm making a Star Wars movie. It's gonna be
Really? He
great.
was like,
Don't-
I never watched any
don't
interviews.
worry. Yeah, it's gonna be great. And I mean, his like tweets, they're all just like, yes, I'm making. It's gonna be fine. Like everything just seemed like, yeah, it's
Really?
great. Whatever, fine. It's great. Like it felt like just very muted and like, I'm doing Star Wars and I've got it.
Don't worry
Yeah,
about
it's just
it.
how
kind of thing.
yeah. Just look, turn around. Look at this. It always felt like that when he talked about Star Wars, and it never. Whereas like JJ's like, I'm doing Star Wars, and Ryan's like, I'm doing Star Wars, and Colin's like, I'm doing Star Wars.
Jeez.
I don't know. That's how it came across. Allegedly. I'm just gonna yell that every once in a while. So there's our half an episode discussion.
Allegedly,
of
that's
episode
how
9.
it came across to you.
Allegedly that it was alleged
Okay.
to be alleged.
So yeah, that's our.
That's half the episode talking about
episode.
episode 9 and what the hell. It doesn't make sense.
So we've got other things to talk about. We've got this series. We've done one so far.
We did one, and we'll continue with the. So last episode.
So as our houses are filling up with water right now, we'll go through
yeah.
another part of the series.
So last episode was quote the good guys from being the light side of the Force. We talked about Rey and we talked about Han, like all the main characters type things, and we kind of stopped at the point where we were getting into those middle characters of like Poe and Finn and Rose. So I figured we could just keep talking about them.
Yep.
At this point, sure, why not? Go for it.
It's always great when we are like,
Is this what we're doing?
Sure, whatever.
Is that what we plan? So Finn.
Do you want to hold on? Do you want to start with Luke, or do you want to go?
Finn. His name's Finn.
Oh, we discussed Luke already.
Yes. Where are you?
Where are we in the? Oh, okay. I got my notes confused.
That's a menu.
I'm gonna do
That's
this.
a Chinese takeout menu.
Oh, dim sum.
So his
not even
character is really
Chinese, is it?
interesting.
It's like Korean.
So
or something.
Finn, of course, we left off with him being sliced up the back and
Oh, dim
all-
sum is Chinese.
Yeah.
So I had my reference right.
Yes, you were not racist in the least
Okay.
yet. So Finn was, halved the bad way at the end of The Force Awakens.
But halved pretty bad, Paul.
And so we've discussed what Finn's where we thought Finn's character was going, and it seems to be headed that way of him not really knowing what to do with himself. And it's like, so this is Boyega talking about Finn, saying, everyone in the space throughout the galaxy would have heard about the young Jedi who discovered her powers and defeated Kylo Ren, and the young former stormtrooper who helped save the day. He's a hero to people like Rose who fight for the Resistance because their homes have been destroyed by the First Order.
Mm-hmm.
And then he meets Rose, and Rose, we're gonna get into Rose, and she thinks he's a huge hero, and he is finally a big deal, like he lied to Han about. But he definitely does not feel that way, really. So, Boyega does say we are going to learn more about his past and where he came from, and potentially why he made the decision to escape. And why he decided to leave as a stormtrooper in the first place. So it is, and it goes into say that the big thematic push for the movie is the past and what role the past has in moving us forward into the future. That came from Ryan Johnson.
Okay.
So for Finn, it's that whole thing we've been talking about of him having this like, who am I now? What am I doing?
Right.
Do I want to be doing any of this, or do I want to be who I've become? Because I think he still just wants to run away from it all. Possibly.
I've been thinking about this. So I'm reading Phasma, which came out on.
Everyone go read it.
recently.
It's fantastic.
It's very good. It really is very good. And so something I'm learning through that is the indoctrination that's happening for all these stormtroopers in the First Order. It's really like they are trained and almost brainwashed in a way to really deep down believe that the First Order is doing the right thing.
It's Hitler's Youth.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, basically, they're like, hey, we're going to provide you food and a house, and you're orphans, and we're taking care of you. And guess what? We're going to save the galaxy.
Right. We're doing all
because
this good for the galaxy.
The Resistance are only creating disorder and wars,
They're
and
terrorists.
they can't provide for everyone. They're terrorists,
Right.
and we are a big group. We can provide for everyone, and once everyone's under our rule, we can provide for everyone just like we've provided for you.
Right.
And that's kind of how they're brought up as very young murdered children
Right.
under Hux. And some of the training stuff, it's like they're trained, it's like their family, like they all eat together. And like there's in the book, there's a guy named Cardinal who like he works with the young children, and then Phasma works with the teens and like older, and like adults. And so it's like they're almost like a family of like, hey, we're gonna train you together, and you're gonna learn, and then move on and up and whatever.
Yeah, and this guy Cardinal is very like he's fanatical. He really believes that the First Order is doing the right thing, and not only that, but like you're talking about family and stuff. They have this. They have less. It seemed like restrictions. I guess I'm trying to think of the word. Like you remember how the clone troopers were very regimented and it was a very military type thing.
The training, at least of the children, does not seem as militant.
Yeah, or at least, I mean, they are trained in a military sort of manner, but it's less. It's more. Yeah, there's more of an emphasis on family and I don't know, togetherness, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, we're all doing this for the same cause.
Right.
You're gonna help make the universe a better place, the galaxy a better place.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's a good motivation behind it instead of just war. Something like that. So it's interesting to think about why, what made Finn go against that. Like what did he, I mean, he had the experience on Jakku, his first deployment basically, where he saw, his friends get murdered and, all this crazy stuff. But why did that click inside of him? Like I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I don't, you would think that encountering the Resistance for the first time and having them murder his friends would be more like, oh, I need to be against these guys.
Yes, but at the same time, so I can't recall, how old is Finn? Do we know?
Young,
How long has he been with
20s.
Phasma?
Well, if what the book is saying is accurate for Finn, then he was with this guy Cardinal up
We
until
haven't
his
finished the book,
teens.
so we don't know what happens to Cardinal.
Okay, well,
Yes.
I mean, you would assume that it still has this breakup, so probably he joined with Phasma in his teens, maybe
So, and he's
late teens.
And he's in his 18, 19, 20?
I say 20, so I'd say at least 5 years.
A couple years, but they've probably not. This is his first thing, and the first thing that he goes on, we're here to make the universe a better place. And the first thing he goes on, he sees them shooting women and children that are helpless and don't have guns or weapons, that are
True.
rounded up in the street. They're
True.
burning all their baskets because fuck the
They
baskets.
hate baskets.
Yeah, and then like, so his first thing is like, oh, we're making the universe a better place. Let's get down there. Oh, there's bad guys. Let's shoot them. We're shooting women and children in the street. What?
True.
And then he
True.
just has that
Yeah.
break, that snap. Like, we're not the good guys.
True.
I'm assuming that's kind of what I see from what we've seen of Finn. I don't know what happened up to that
Okay,
point prior. I was like, oh yeah, we're doing the thing. Let's go down and do the thing. And then, oh, we're doing this thing. This is the thing we do.
So
Oops.
I wonder if, maybe that something in his past, like that reminded him of something in his past, like
Yeah.
encounters with other bad guys.
I don't know where he came from as a child or what situation he was.
Maybe that's
brought
what we'll
in
find
under.
out about.
So that, to me, that seems the logical break. Obviously, anything could have happened before we met Finn.
Yeah.
To bring him to that point. And yeah, so I think it's that point now. So he's healed. Everyone sees him as a hero. He probably doesn't see himself as a hero at all, and he probably is still struggling with, are the Resistance actually the good guys? Are there any good guys? And I don't want to be a part of any of this anymore, because all we're doing is just fighting. I don't know. That's how it comes across to me. So
Well,
he has to make that decision of, are there good guys? Is what the Resistance is doing is good, and should I stay or should I just keep running?
It could be that. I was thinking it was more, he's seen the First Order firsthand. He knows what they're capable of. He's seen their might and strength, and he saw what they did on Jakku to this village.
Yeah.
Which is, and that motivated him to run, because that was his whole deal in Force Awakens, was just run away. We need to run away. So it's like, we have to get away from the First Order as fast as we possibly can, and I can't really offer the Resistance anything, because I'm trying to run away. I wasn't really a big deal, like I'm making myself out to be, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And then, like you're saying, Rose comes along and thinks meets Finn and thinks he's a big deal.
Yeah. So, to kind of recap on Rose, she's like a grease monkey, gearhead, jack of all trades. Her sister is a Resistance gunner, which I know there's a book coming out, like a young adult book with the Last Jedi books.
All right.
About her sister and their squadron. But her sister is a Resistance gunner who fights on the front lines alongside like Poe and all that. So, from Rose's perspective, so this is Tran saying this, that, Poe is super cool and Finn is super cool, and then Rose is good at what she does, but she's not known. She's like not cool. She's just a background person that, that's which, what makes her interesting, she's saying, as a character, is that she's not the best. She's not royalty. She's just someone who is she's just there being a part of the Resistance. And, but Finn, and, she meets Finn and she's starstruck by him, and, he kind of appreciates the adoration, if you will, about him being a big deal, but he's kind of trying to get away from the whole war and trying to leave. And she comes in and is, basically giving him a depiction of himself that isn't really true.
Of this big hero, big deal guy. Yeah.
A good guy, a quote, good guy and a brave guy, and he doesn't see himself as good or brave. He was one coward for running away,
just
and
trying
he's not
to get away
good
from
because he was a stormtrooper.
Right. Yep.
And so you have that dynamic of Rose seeing him as one thing, him seeing himself as another, and then kind of giving him that that choice of making a decision of being that good guy and being that hero or continuing to run away.
Yeah.
And and then of course, like it says here, it's not really a spoiler, but Rose helps Finn to stay in the fight because we know Finn and Rose go off the fight together.
Right.
Which is interesting because Rose, like it says, Rose is kind of just a nobody gearhead. She I think works on ships and does stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just a tech person. Why is she going on a giant mission to I'm assuming the Supremacy, right?
I assume they need
ship. I think it's the Supremacy. So why would she be going with Finn?
Yeah.
You've got a guy that works sanitation, and then you've got a chick that works on spaceships, and they're undercover on the Supremacy, which is, a ship the size of 100 planets.
I assume Finn has some kind of inside knowledge, just like he said he did with the other thing.
There's a toilet on deck too.
And then Rose probably has some kind of technical skill that they need. So.
I bet it's got screws. That is both of their lines. And they're like, done.
I have a
You're
screwdriver.
gone. Get them a ship.
Hired.
Get them a ship and black hats. And then mission.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope there's something more in depth.
I would assume. I mean, they go to Canto Bight and watch some horse races or steal a horse from a race.
There's all these little pieces.
The horses are unclear. And then they steal a horse and they end up on the Supremacy. They ride a horse right onto the Supremacy in space. The Supremacy's too big to land on a planet, right? Like, that can never land.
It's like the size of a small planet, isn't it?
Right?
No, maybe not a planet, but like a moon or something.
Just a ramp lands on the planet. just a ramp can touch the planet, and they can come down, but the ship can't. Yeah.
This all reminds me of, remember when we were talking about who was flying the Falcon in Force Awakens? Because we saw from the teaser, the trailer, and everything, the Falcon was flying around, and we were trying to figure out, well, why is the Falcon on Jakku? Like, how could this work? It feels like the same kind of thing. Like, there's going to be these tiny little things in the story here that connect everything and
really don't matter anyways.
Right.
No, I think I like Rose's character for the sake of the dynamic she's going to bring to Finn. Obviously, I'm sure I will like her character for other reasons after I see it, but I like the idea of how they've built that, of Rose seeing Finn as this huge deal and her being a nobody, and Finn feeling like a nobody, not wanting to be a big deal,
but seen by other people.
Because he did one thing, probably from his perspective as a fluke thing.
Accident.
I got stuck in this situation, and I just did what came natural.
Right.
Protect the pretty girl with the lightsaber. He picked up a lightsaber not knowing what the hell he was doing with it, and then got like the shit kicked out of him. And then so now he wakes up, he's healed, and he's like, well, I didn't do anything. I just got the crap beat out of me.
Right.
And I was running away, and all I tried to do was leave. But here I am. I've got a new spine. Got a robo spine. And I want to go home.
Do you think Rey and Finn ever meet up again in this movie?
Is this the other Last Jedi getting adult?
Huh? What's that?
I said, is this the other way the Last Jedi is going to get adult?
What are you talking about? Huh? What's this?
Do they ever see each other again?
Yeah. Or
no.
Do you think Rey
in the Last Jedi? No.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
Not in the Last Jedi. I don't think they're. I think there will be far too much going on, unless it's at the very end. There's like that whole thing, just like in the original trilogy, where Luke lands his X-wing, and then Leia runs up, and they all hug, and they're all standing there because everyone's always in the same spot together in the one giant base.
There's not going to be something like that.
I mean, that's the only thing I could see them seeing each other is at the end of Last Jedi after some big thing.
I don't think there's going to be a moment like that, honestly.
I don't think so either. That's why I think
it's going to be like Empire, where everyone kind of is split up, and
unless it could be like Empire where everyone's split up. Unless it depends on what's happening with Luke and Rey. I mean, do they ever come back to the Resistance? Does Leia get to actually see Luke? Do they ever go back there?
See, that's true.
But even if they do, Finn and Rose might already be off on the Supremacy, sneaking in through a toilet. Because that's what Finn knows about. And I assume that's how they get on the ship.
Toilet sneaker.
They sneak right in through a toilet.
That will kind of suck. That if I remember this sounds familiar that we talked about this before, but I really hope that Luke gets or that Leia has some kind of closure with Luke before 9.
Yeah.
Or is that just not possible anymore? You know?
Yeah, it depends on what they did, what was already shot.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of stuck with what they have.
Right.
And
yeah, obviously
I cannot
nobody
think of a
wanted
reason.
this, but
I cannot think of a reason for them to have to come back before going on whatever mission or decision thing they decide to do. I can't think of a reason why they would go out of their way to return instead of going off to face Kylo Ren or Snoke or whatever else.
Snoke, I think.
Or whatever else.
I think there's going to be, some kind of escalation that happens where they're like, okay, we've got to go after Snoke now.
There's that scene that was shot on Acto with the black figures, which may be the Knights of Ren. So I think there's already going to be that escalation of things. And then I think there's going to be that decision of Luke and Rey, or Luke's decision. We're like, all right, we're doing this.
Do I engage? Yeah.
And then making that decision to go off and do whatever.
Right. I think it's going to
with
have to
Chewie
happen.
and R2. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder how that's all going to work out.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then you've got Poe, who, one, if you haven't seen recently, the Empire magazine issue of The Last Jedi came out, and it was talking about Poe's X-wing, and apparently he has like a souped-up X-wing, basically,
which gets destroyed. Because we saw there's that scene in the teaser where the base is being attacked or something, and Poe's X-wing blows up.
An X-wing could just be a Black Squadron X-wing.
Oh, you think he has a different one now?
Well, it looks a little different, and it has basically Space Nos. So
Space Nos.
He had. I can't remember the name of the thing, and if I was smart, I would have written it down. But basically, a thing where he can outrun turbo lasers, like with a boost of speed, but it's a limited type thing. So it's basically nitrous. It's basically X-wing nitrous. He has a boost to evade turbo lasers.
The tech getting a little shaky again.
Yeah, so
that damn hyperdrive stuff.
Poe has a special Poe X-wing. It's not just any of the X-wings. He has modified X-wing.
Do you think this stupid hyperdrive thing that I keep being so angry about, is this like an advancement in hyperdrive tech that's
hyperdrives being able to come out of hyperspace in the atmosphere of a planet without exploding into bits, or going into hyperspace from inside of another ship?
Right. Is this like an advancement in tech, like in the last 30 years?
I think we have to say yes. I don't think we have another choice.
That bothers me so much.
Yeah, that would
everything we know about hyperdrives.
It would tear the ship apart. Both of those instances, the ship and the ship surrounding it would just get torn to bits.
I don't understand.
Like the Rathtar was on, and they went into hyperspace.
And he was still on for a second while space was being bended.
I don't think that's not how it works.
Bent.
Benderized. Bont. Yes. Space was bont. That's the past tense of bend. Bond. Sure.
So Poe has a nitrous X-wing.
Yes.
What else?
So talking about the character of Poe specifically, and so Oscar Isaac was talking about kind of how he feels that Poe is kind of like a surrogate son for Leia, whereas because Ben is gone, he made his decision, and she's had Poe there, and he's come up within the Resistance and is kind of that big shot in the Resistance, probably what she saw her son doing.
Yeah, true.
Alongside her. So
somebody that she really trusts now.
Yes, exactly. And, she sees in him like being a leader of the Resistance and not just the pilot or one of the main pilots of the Resistance.
So Leia sent him on the mission in the very beginning of Force Awakens to get the map, right?
Like they trusted him that much. Yeah.
Right. And wasn't there another mission in like a comic or something that was talked about, or in Bloodlines maybe? Or is that too early?
Not
might be too early.
Yeah.
I thought there was another mission where like they've established very well now that he's kind of the go-to for Leia.
Yeah, exactly.
For this kind of stuff.
And so Oscar Isaac was saying how, Poe's arc is really one of going from that hero soldier to a leader, to see beyond just winning a battle to the large picture of and the future of the galaxy, kind of.
Interesting.
And thinking about that, You know, because like I said, like Isaac even said, I think Leia knows she won't be around forever, and she, with tough love, wants to push Poe to be more than the badass pilot. And thinking about that
More
even
of a
further,
leader.
now that we won't have Leia in 9, does Poe fill that space? Poe was already seemingly being groomed to be a leader.
Yeah.
For The Last Jedi, is what
Right.
it sounds like. And unintentionally, I think he may now be the leader because of whatever, depending on what they do with Leia. We don't know how that's going to work out.
Right.
There's no way for her to stay alive, for Leia to still be alive in 9 and just not be around.
Something, yes.
Would that make sense?
Something has to happen with that, I think.
Like, she can't just like, yeah, Leia's here. She's at the post office right now, mailing a lot of letters. I mean, she can't.
I don't think you understand the amount of letters.
Bulk load of letters. No, I mean, she can't exist and be alive, right, without being seen. Like, that wouldn't make sense for that to happen.
No, it's, yeah, I can't
her character,
think of
the
a way
character
that
of
would work.
Leia has to not exist anymore.
And I don't. You probably agree with this. I don't see Luke coming back and being any kind of leader
No,
for
no,
the
no.
Resistance.
He doesn't. I don't think he wants to do that.
No.
And 2, if it all depends on what goes on with the whole Jedi thing.
The Jedi Must End thing.
Yeah, I don't know what his
What
role
he's doing with the
will
Force.
be. I can see Luke dying in 9.
Yeah, me too. Which would really suck. Because that's all 3 characters now. Original characters.
We'll lose Leia in Last Jedi, maybe. And then what if we lost Leia and Luke in the same movie?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
Lose them both in 9.
they already finished shooting before she died, so you know. And Ryan's always talked about how we mentioned this before that there wasn't like an end to her storyline.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
Do you
He said
really
I'll like
think they would have.
He said, I think they said, you know, I think fans will like how we handled her story, or how we, you know, I think
Yeah.
it'll be bittersweet or something like. So I don't know what that means. Does she die?
Does she
Does
just
Leia
go off
die,
into
or
the
does
sunset?
Leia, like, to vacation? I don't know.
Space Bermuda.
Or in between films, is she killed in an accident and it's just announced to us through some other storytelling method?
Yeah, I don't know.
Which would kind of suck for it to be an off-screen thing for Leia.
It can't be. That
It
has
to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know how that can be handled. And then if Luke dies, which I could very well see that happening in 9, if we lose both of them in the same movie, that's gonna be rough. That's gonna be a rough go.
Yeah, that'll suck.
But I can like 80% see Luke dying in 9.
Maybe.
And then so with Poe specifically, depending on what happens with Leia, I think, even though it seems like they were headed that direction, I think they are now probably forced in that direction of Poe now being the leader of the Resistance.
Poe's, yeah, being groomed to.
Which will be cool.
That'll be interesting.
I like Oscar Isaac. He's fantastic.
He's great, but I never really saw him. Maybe he's gonna grow a lot in this movie, but I never really saw him as that character in Force Awakens. Like, he was always just another dude.
Which I think is what he wants to be, or what he's good at, and is trying to be nudged in that direction of like.
So you're saying
Be part of the
he
bigger
does
picture.
he does grow a lot in this movie.
I would
you're
think
saying.
so.
Hmm.
But at the same time,
Maybe.
like, how much story do we really need from Poe? Because there's a lot of other stuff we need to get through. And
Yeah.
I think he will definitely be a smaller part.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's a good part. I think I'm totally fine with Oscar Isaac being that part.
I think so. I think I'd agree with that. Yeah. I mean, there's some other things that were detailed in the same article. Talked a bit about Canto Bight.
Yep.
And how it kind of is the de facto
It's the Cloud City.
Cloud City, yeah, for this movie, which Ryan said was
It's
kind
Space
of
Vegas.
unintentional.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're cutting these moments in, and it just so happens to be sort of like that. But I think it'll be a little different in that Cloud City was introduced because Han had a friend there and needed a place to hide.
Yeah, they're going there for some.
They have a mission. Yeah. Like, which apparently is DJ.
Yes, which so the pop figure for DJ came out, the Funko Pop figure.
Okay.
And he has a headband on, and on that headband is Arabesh, which translates to "Don't join."
Don't join.
DJ.
Huh? Is he a First Order recruiter?
Well, he's a hacker. I mean, he's a slicer. So I'm assuming that's his hacker handle, right? DJ is probably just his slicer name.
Don't join.
But he has an Arabesh headband that says "Don't join." I don't know if that means that he's just not a part of any of it. Like he's a slicer, so he probably just works for whoever pays him.
True.
Or don't join the Resistance, don't join the First Order, just don't
be
a part of anything. I don't know, but I just saw that the other day and I totally forgot to mention it to you. Huh. So yeah, so I'm assuming that is where the DJ comes from.
Ryan said that it would make sense why he was named that. Why his name's DJ. I mean,
yeah.
Part of his character bio says that in this article says that he doesn't fight for any side.
Yeah, he's just a code breaker and he's the best in the galaxy. Right. So like from, he has Boyega was saying that DJ has distinct opinions. The Resistance bombs the First Order one day, the First Order bombs the Resistance on another. It's an ongoing war that will never end, and for him, he's just trying to benefit off of that, which doesn't make him the person you want to trust.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. What would that be? I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe that's just part of the story, and we can't really guess that right now.
I mean, as a slicer, if you're a hacker for hire, you could probably he's probably done stuff to hinder the Resistance. He probably has done stuff to hinder the First Order, and it's just whoever's paying at the time.
Trying to say who?
It's like a bounty hunter. It's just a slicer.
Who is the robot in Mr. Robot? What robot could they be talking about? Which robot is it?
Why is it gender specific? Yeah, I don't know. So I thought that was just an interesting point that his name is DJ. He has an Arabesh headband on the Pop Funko figure that translates to "Don't join." So he is a neutral. Right. He is a neutral character probably that really doesn't have a side and is just somebody that they need help from.
All right.
And then I think we've talked about Vice Admiral Holdo probably plenty before, that for her, she's obviously a character that's brought in. It doesn't seem like she was a part of the Resistance before. And I think from Johnson, he was saying, part of the thing with her character that's fun is figuring out what her relationship is to everybody as you go through the movie. And he said, I don't want to tip the hat too much, but I will say the heat is immediately turned up on the Resistance. Everybody is put in a pressure cooker right away. The relationships crack and strain under that pressure. That was really interesting to me. The notion of putting this small army under a lot of external pressure and showing some of the results within the Resistance itself. So it's that, and what we've talked about her before is I think she was part of not the Resistance, part of the Republic.
Yeah.
Who probably wasn't a fan of the Resistance, but now has to work with them because that's all that's left.
I think so.
And that's where that pressure and that fighting is of like, you did this to us, probably her to Leia, of like having that attitude of like, this is all your fault.
Yeah.
But she has to also go with it because
you guys escalated this. We never wanted this war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what the attitude with her seems to be. To me, that's where it makes the most sense to me to be coming from.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think I agree with that.
We'll see where it goes.
And then there was a quick mention about Maz, that she has a small part in this movie.
Yeah, she will still be around.
That she delivers important information. Which
Taco Tuesdays. That's it.
Yep. Shows up at the Resistance in the middle of that battle. And it's like, hey, Taco Tuesdays on my new planet.
On her new planet? She take a whole planet now?
Well, she doesn't have that.
The one bar on that one planet? Now she has a whole planet? Great.
She didn't own that whole planet? The last movie?
Sure.
No? Yes?
Sure. Maz planet. Maztopia. All right. Well, we still have all the bad guys to talk about, but that will be for another episode. hopefully no one else gets fired in the meantime.
Yeah, by next episode, she probably know who's...
Ryan Johnson no longer editing The Last Jedi. What's happening?
What? It's already edited.
They're unediting it so that someone else can go back and do it again.
Ron Howard.
He's the actual editor, and then someone else is directing him to do the edits.
Warwick. They're going to bring Warwick in.
Sure.
To edit stuff.
Why not?
I don't know.
All right. That's enough for this episode. If you would like to contact us, please reach out to us on Twitter at Hokey_religion or our email at asklobot@hokeyReligion.com. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook and many other things that also make podcast noises. We are there to be found. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a review on iTunes with the appropriate amount of stars that you deem necessary and words that are hopefully encouraging and or biting. But please leave a review. That helps people find the show. A lot of people have been doing that recently, so we thank you. We like seeing reviews. There's one guy, only one person that has left a 4-star review while the rest are 5, so get your shit in check. You guy. But we love you anyways. And
he's doing what you asked
I know
them to do.
Just that one review. One review is 4 stars.
True feelings on the matter.
Everyone else, they love us. He's just like, you're good. That guy. No, but thank you, all of you. That's very helpful. And if you really enjoy the show and want to contribute to us to help make the show better, you can go to patreon.com/HokeyReligion and you can become a patron there. We do record the episodes live, except for this one because we weren't prepared because of storms and last minute things. But usually the episodes have a live recording of us sitting looking like a bunch of dummies and are posted to Patreon for all patrons. And there are some things that are good on there that we want to be able to do. Like if we reach a certain goal, we are going to release the unreleased 2 episodes of the worst podcast in history that we made when we were still teenagers. I think we were 19.
Were we really? No.
I think we were 19 or 20. Yes.
I think you're right about 19, actually, now that I think about it.
Pretty sure we were 19.
Oh, damn it.
That's a decade old. Back when we had Logitech headsets to record with. On a Dell laptop.
On 2 separate computers. Remember that?
Because there was no way to hook up those 2 USB headsets to one thing computer. And have it record as 2 tracks. Yes, it's the worst podcast in history. And if you want to hear it, please become a patron. Become a patron and help us reach that goal.
But seriously, becoming a patron does actually help us put some money back into the show, like equipment and things like that. We've got hosting costs and stuff that's just coming out of our own pockets right now. So.
Yeah, helps cover the show. The show is not free to
There's some stuff we've been wanting to do with the website.
The show is free for us to create, but it's not free for us to provide to you.
Correct.
It does cost money for it to go out to the internet.
Correct. Which I'm sure everybody knows. I mean, there's some stuff we've been wanting to do with the website lately that we can't right now because we just don't have the money. So if you want to have better stuff that is not
lasers,
really,
lights,
lasers,
fireworks in your bed, we'll come shoot them off in there.
One tier is while you're listening to the episode. The other tier is when you're not listening to the episode.
Oh. We'll launch Roman candles into the foot of your bed.
We just kind of peek up into your window, hold it over.
Thump.
But it's like that bad aim where you can't really see. So
no.
You're just kind of hitting everything around you.
Yes. Of course, why not?
Do it.
Yes. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Goodbye.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons. Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster, true side.